Testing. I'm always starting these with a little song to make sure people can see me, they can hear me, if anybody's there. Okay, so apparently I'm live now. You guys hear me? You guys good? Okay. So a couple things. First of all, this is going to be completely off the cuff because I had some notes and then my computer crashed and I lost them all. So I have some ideas I want to get through to you, but it's just not going to be as polished as other ones, which could be okay. Maybe this is be part of the experience. The other thing I want to say is that this is a brand new headset. I'm hoping this means you can hear me better. My mic before I know wasn't the best in the world. I'm hoping you can hear me. Can you hear me? Hi, guys. Okay, so let's dive in. I know it's late and you guys probably want to get to sleep. It's for me, it's 9:30 at night or 9:15. My kids have just got to bed and it's the only time I actually have to sit down to talk to you live without being interrupted. So I cherish these moments and I hope you're here. I want to make this informative, but I also don't want to like rush and I don't want to make this too long either. So I'm going to dive in. So just in case you haven't met me before or you're new to the group, I'm Sarah Gallagher. I am a 7 years a widow, and I am the founder of this group. I have two kids. One of them is 9, and the other one is 5. I have one of each, a boy and a girl. So yeah, I got lucky. And I had my own personal story, which I'll tell some other time about them. But specifically, what I want to talk to about today is how I have dealt with not having a father figure for my son and what his experiences have been, what I found has helped us, and through some research I want to share with you as well, there's some good news, which is great. So, to give you some background, I mentioned I'm 7 years a widow. My husband died completely unexpectedly on April 26th, 2014, and my son was 2.5 when he passed away. So when he passed away, I was very upset because I knew that my son wouldn't have any memories of his father, and that really, really bothered me. So I tried to get his friends involved to have them write stories or tell them stories to Tristan. I can tell him later on when he gets older. And unfortunately, that didn't really happen because friends get busy and they have lives, and it really wasn't a priority for them, even though I bugged them. But I let it slide. And I really shouldn't have because it's something that is important now. And that's one of the things I want to bring up with you right now before I do anything else is that being a solo parent is much different than being a single parent. And you know this because this means that it's not about talking about an absent father figure where a father figure isn't involved in your child's life. This is seriously the fact that their father has died and they're not coming back and it's just you. You're the solo parent. And as every kid needs their parents to, or in your case, just you to support them, you also have to be their advocate. You have to play both roles as much as possible. And this means, unfortunately, that you have to speak up for your child. You have to advocate for your child. So when I said before that I didn't push my friends to give me those stories of their friend who had passed away, so I can give them to my son later on. I really should have stepped up, and I probably even should listen to my own advice now and step up now, even though it's been 7 years past, to say, "Hey guys, I need these stories because he needs have ideas or memories of his father. Because at 2.5 years old, he's never going to remember his father. The only memories he has are the ones that I've been telling him stories about his father." So throughout this, I want to let you know that I know that being a solo parent is extremely hard, and that you never asked for this, and you now have to try to take care of your children. But now you also have to be the advocate to help them find that father figure. Now, I'm going to get into that, but before I get into how you can help them, I want to again use some of my own experiences, and maybe you will associate with them with yours as well. So when his father died, again, he was 2.5 years old. Tristan would tell everybody and anybody and every stranger, "Hey, my dad's dead," or "My dad died," because that's just so normal for him, right? Why wouldn't he just say anything? And it was felt odd for me because I'm like, "Why are you telling these people your private business?" But for him, it's just what it is, right? He doesn't have a father. Has a dead father, and it's what it's going to be. The other thing that happened, and this still, he's 9 now, and this happened a lot more when he was younger, but it still happens, and in shifts here as well as he gets older. He's becoming more independent now. But when he was smaller, I would call him, he would glom onto men. It's my perfect little word for it. So basically, what would happen is that if he was in an activity, like for instance, if, when sign him up for soccer, there was one male coach, and he would cling to him. He would find him, and he would just stay with him, and like I forgot what his name was. It was like, oh, Carl, 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 do this, Carl, do that, blah, 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 blah. And he would just stick to glue, just like following around like a little puppy. And this would happen with every male. Like this could be happening with my male friends, just friends who would come over to visit every now and again. There wasn't any consistency, unfortunately, because people come and go. Uh, but he would like glom to them if there was a male there. He would like instant attention. I want your attention. I want this. Even to the point, and this was where I thought this was very telling, was that with one point, I guess about must have been about 4, maybe 5, and we were at a open mic area, and we're listening to some guy play on the guitar, and there are all these kids sitting on front on the floor, and Tristan, without even talking to me, without anything, he went up and he sat beside this one father figure. Obviously, he's there with two other kids. It was very obvious he's a father. He sat right beside him. Like, here's the man, here's Tristan. And he was like, it's like right stranger, because he's glomming onto men. And this is because he didn't have a father figure. So that's when I realized I had to step up my game. At this point, he's 4 years old. I've been trying to deal with my grief for about 2 years at this point, and I really didn't give much thought to it because I was too busy dealing with everything else in the world. And I realized that I had to step up my game. And this is unfortunately something you're going to have to do too, because I know being alone sucks, being the only parent sucks. But your child, you're going to need to find ways to be able to help your child to get those father figures. And I'm not saying go out and date. I'm not saying go out and find a companion. I mean, if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it. And frankly, it's better for you to be in a better situation that you're happy with than just to cling on to a guy for your child's sake. So what you can do, and it's going to sound very simple and maybe even very tough at the same time, but literally you have to go around and be active in the community. So my examples are, for instance, I started getting involved in my child's daycare's board of directors, and I started reaching out to the people who were in the board and and their friends and their kids, and find those little family units that had father figures. And I would arrange to have, and I still do have, play dates, but not just play dates for the kids, play dates for the family. So it's me there with the two parents most of the time, and they're dead the two kids, and later on my daughter as well. But so in that case, it's all the whole bunch of the family, like my small little family and a bigger family, and they're all communicating together, and we're all playing. And even if the father figure isn't directly talking or interacting with my son, which they end up doing anyway. But even if he wasn't, just the fact that my son could see another father figure, another male adult that he could look up to and say, "Hey, what's this guy doing? This is how he's interacting with his child," and he recognizes obviously that he's missing that. He doesn't have the interaction. He doesn't have that male father figure, but because he can recognize that, he can see, okay, that's what a good person's supposed to be. That's what a male is supposed to be, a responsible, healthy relationship with their child. And this is what I want too. And my son's very much of a more of an extrovert than I think than most people are. So he would be out there. He'd actually, again, he'd glom himself. He could like insert himself into, hey, you're taking care of me now, or you're let's play with me now, which is good. But in order for that to happen, I had to create these situations where it could happen naturally. So we did that. Uh, and you can do this with your people in the neighborhood as well. And when I started moved into neighborhood now, I've been here for 5 years now, and over the past 3 years, I have been developing relationships with the families around, especially with the ones that have the family with a father. And we've been interacting more, again, having our kids together, have our families together. But I'm very open and honest with them. And I think that's very important to say, listen, hey, I'm a single mom, and I'm not just like a single mom. Their father, or my son's father, my daughter's father has died, and this is just where it is. So if this is then kind of give them a heads up of he doesn't have a father figure, he might kind of glom to you because that's what he does, but just take it naturally. And honestly, as long as you're open with it and say, here, this is a situation, families are usually pretty good at that. And if they're not okay with it, you have it straight there, and you're like, hey, fine. Then you don't interact, and you just do have their children with their own kids, and you don't have to try to push it. And a point of this too is also to make this very natural. You don't want to push your child to have father figures, even if they don't want to, because maybe if they're too shy, like my daughter, she's extremely shy, but she watches, she observes. So even if she's not interacting, she's picking up on what a father figure is. Okay, so we talked about being in the daycares or being in the school settings and being friends with their friends and their friends' families. We've talked about being doing the same thing in the neighborhoods. There's other options too, and that being actually inserting your child into situations where they have male father figures, male coaches. I mean, obvious ones are going to be sports, because even if they're younger kids, usually they're like high school kids or university kids that are teaching these community sports to young kids. That's an older father figure. I mean, kids have this idea that it's their age and then old, right? And of course, we're ancient, so we're beyond that point. But even if we have like just like an older a brother type figure, it's still somebody they can look up to and they can get cues off of. And seeing how they interact with each other is also very important too. How the older boys are interacting with each other and interacting with the kids, because that's going to be more of a jovial kind of like big brother, ha ha kind of thing, joke, 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 as opposed to a I'm a father figure kind of thing, which is also good for them to see and to be involved with, and someone else they can trust and go up to and say, hey, I have a problem with this, blah blah. So there's the community centers, there's the community activities, and then there's the two other obvious ones, or maybe not so obvious. I know in Canada here they have Big Brothers slash Big Sisters Association, where you just once they're 5 years old, you can sign up your child to be on a waiting list to be matched with a suitable candidate who, again, is an older, like a teenager. And they will actually come and spend. They're committed to spend at least 1 to 2 hours every week with their child, doing stuff with their child, and it's an incredible program. I'm not sure if they have one in the States. I'm sure if I do some poking, I could probably find something for you or something similar to it. But it's been helping a lot, and it's been not just for obviously widowed parents, but single parents or parents, kids who have absent fathers. It's been wonderful. And the other thing, again, this is in Canada, and I'm sure they have something similar in the States, but there's Boy Scouts, which is a camping slash outdoor activity kind of program where can talk about stewardship and taking care of the earth and being responsible, but also being personal responsible. Like they teach them how to like you have to wash your dishes after you like eat from them when we go camping, or you have to tidy up after yourself, otherwise the bears are going to eat you. But there's a lot of unfortunately a lot of these things they are run by women because women seem to be more volunteering, but there are male influences in there. And again, even if they're not, there's at least one or two male scouters there helping. And if not, again, there's the fathers there as well that they see every week dropping off the kids and interacting. And again, people getting to know each other. You have to be advocate for your kid to get those father figures. And again, I'm not saying go and find a companion because that's completely separate. The last thing you want to do is get into a relationship or be in a situation where you have somebody over just because they want a father figure. An example for that, again, this is personal experience. My husband had a really good friend that was very supportive of me after the death of my husband, and so because of that, when we were friends and everything, when he was out between houses, I'd let him couch surf on my couch for close to a year. And I did this not just to help him, but I was also under the impression that by him being here, he's a father figure for Tristan, as an older male figure. And as the year progressed, I started realizing that, first of all, we weren't really interacting that well, which wasn't helping the situation between how my son was seeing, because that's not a healthy situation. And then I also started realizing that he started like trying to parent my child without asking me and by doing things I didn't approve of. And it got to the point where my son became afraid of him. And it took about 3 months of this actually evolving for my real getting worse, where I realized that this is not good and I had to kick him out, which was horrible. But that's when I realized this is not just having a male figure around isn't good enough because you have to get more, be more than that. So I've talked about the idea of how you have to advocate for your child. You have to try to find those situations where you are actively bringing your child into other males' views, and you're talking to these males, and you're talking to the father figures about the fact that they have this is how your child is, and this is what they don't have, and to be aware of it. Um, and we talked about the fact that you really have to be more involved in their activities in order to get everybody else involved as well. Now, I wanted to share something else with you because when I was researching this, there are so much about how to help your child deal with death of their father. Which I'm like, yeah, I know that, but that's not what I mean. I'm talking about support here. And I've also found a lot of things about how to deal with an absent father, or the psychological effects of not having a father. And there's so many articles about the psychological detriments of not having a father, so much so that it's scary. It's really scary. But then I started doing some more research. And I realized a lot of these scary stories, they have truth in them for sure, but they're really clickbait because there are many, many families out there who don't have fathers, who are doing just fine. Their kids are fantastic. They are well-rounded. Have they haven't turned into psychopaths. They haven't turned into mass murderers. They have turned into empathetic, caring, well-rounded people who might have some anxiety, who might have, but who doesn't, who might have some learning disabilities, but who's to say that's because they didn't have a father? There are, and beyond the fact that there are so many examples of this, there, let's look at the fact that the idea of a traditional mother-father household is gone out the window too, right? There are kids being raised by two women, and they are perfectly psychologically, emotionally fine. They are fine. And the same goes for the other way around. Like there are kids being raised by two boys, sorry, two men. My apologies, and they are not at a complete detriment because they don't have a mother or a mother figure. And this is because we've realized that it's not so important as to what your gender is or what those traditional roles are. You can be both for your child. For instance, the idea of the fact that you need a father to roughhouse with. I roughhouse with my kids all the bloody time, and they love it. I'm not so much into it, but they love it, so I got to do it for them, right? Maybe a guy's more into it. I don't know. Maybe there's the idea that, oh, they need a guy for the sports, to coach them and then teach them how to play baseball. My husband wasn't into sports. He wasn't going to be teaching them baseball, so I would still have to do it anyway. Um, and I also want to let you know too that, I mean, if I can actually put this up, there it's more important that you do so much to your child that you are giving them unconditional love and that they know they can follow you for whatever happens. I mean, there are obviously things that my son's not going to want to talk to me about because as he's gone through puberty, when he's going through puberty, he might be a little bit shy talking about this. So I've started talking about these things early. So I get the into his head that this is a normal conversation. He doesn't have to be worried about talking to me about this. And then later on, if he does end up feeling afraid or upset, I know that because I've influenced him to be aware of the other men in his life and to not be afraid of them and to know that they're there for them because all the interactions we've had with these families, with the communities, with these even his male teachers when they come around, he knows that there are male support figures that he can turn to. And this could just even be even if you haven't figured that out for yourself yet, they can be police figures. They can be the fire person down the street. It doesn't have to be the father figure, the father of their lives. You guys are awesome. I know there's Father's the reason why I brought this all up is because Father's Day is coming up. And I know that it's just hard for everyone because you not only have to deal with the fact that, oh my God, it's Father's Day and there's not a father in their life, but now you're like, thanks very much for reminding me there's no father in their life and to remind me that I'm on my own. And the fact that now my kids have to be reminded of the fact they're on their own. So I wanted to talk about this just to let you guys know that even if you have a situation where you don't have a male influence for your child, where you are missing a father figure, that it's okay. You are enough. You are enough because you bring your child's world into as many situations as you can to make sure that they are advocated for. If they don't like it, don't push for it. If it happens naturally, fantastic. You are doing awesome. You will continue to do awesome. If you have anything you want to talk to me about afterwards, do DM me. If you have a question that I haven't answered, do comment here below and let me know, and I will get back to you. But otherwise, don't sweat. Again, there are so many horror stories out there They're clickbait. Yes, we know there are detriments to not having a father figure, but there are also benefits in having a wonderful single parent or same sex parent situation, and the kids are fine. You do you for your family. Okay? I love you. I'll see you next week. And if I don't talk to you, I hope you survive this Father's Day. Tell me what you did. Okay. Bye, everybody.